Hello everyone, Caller on the way here, and today I'm back with another Pixel Gun 3D video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at all of the sandbox weapons in Pixel Gun 3D. Now, sandbox weapons are mainly for the sandbox game mode in this game, but most of these weapons are actually pretty decently you can actually use in battle. So, some of these weapons you can actually compete against other weapons that are actually not for use for sandbox in Pixel Gun 3D. You actually do pretty well with them. So in today's video, we're going to be ranking all of these sandbox weapons from number 7 to number 1, worst to best, and yeah, start off with this video, and let's start off with the worst sandbox weapon in this list. The worst weapon in this list is the fireworks launcher. Now the fireworks launcher came out almost 2 years ago when this video is actually getting posted. Now this weapon, is I believe a 6-shot kill to take someone out without an armor, sometimes 5 shots if you get all the shots connected. And this weapon has only 5 shots in the weapon every magazine, so it makes it really hard to actually get kills with this weapon. If lower armor players are in your match, then you might be able to get a decent amount of kills with this weapon, but most likely you're not going to get any kills with a weapon like this. Now, Coliseum is probably the map that's actually good for all of these sandbox weapons, pretty much in this entire game. So, yeah, Fireworks Locker is worst weapon in this list, in my opinion. Not the worst weapon in the game, but definitely the worst sandbox weapon for sure. And yeah, let's get on to number 6. Now, the number 6 weapon on this list is a balloon cannon. Now, the balloon cannon is probably a step up from the fireworks launcher, just because this weapon is actually a lot more powerful than the fireworks launcher. This weapon is still kind of hard to use, considering it has this very slow travel time, and it's kind of hard to use with this very low area damage on it. And yeah, this weapon's really weird since it actually shoots up balloons to natural bullets. But yeah, if you are pretty good with the weapon, you can get some pretty decent amount of kills with this weapon here. As you can see here from a decent amount of gameplay I'm doing, I'm actually getting some kills with this weapon just because these guys are not really that hard to kill. And yeah, this weapon, it's kind of okay if you're decent with it. But yeah, I accidentally upgraded this weapon to the 3rd upgrade, so I didn't really want to buy the upgraded version of this weapon. But yeah, I'm getting some pretty decent amount of gameplay right here. Just because these players are not really that hard to hit. So basically, if you want to get some good gameplay in this with this weapon is definitely good for close range matches and for players that have the most experience in Pixel Gun 3D. And what I mean by that is not the max levels and are completely pro. So yeah, that's number 6. Let's go on to number 5. Now the number 5 weapon on this list is the Mr. DJ. Now the Mr. DJ has came out, one of the first sandbox weapons to actually come out in Pixel Gun 3D. One of the first ones to be released in, I believe, October 2015. And this weapon is pretty much the same as it ever's been. Now, this weapon has gotten a slight nerf since then. This weapon used to be a 2-shot kill to adamant armor player. Now it's a 3-shot kill. What you do with this weapon is basically the Storm Hammer, except it's actually a sandbox version of the Storm Hammer. You have to get really close to the player to actually get to kill them. And yeah, it's basically the Storm Hammer, but it's a melee weapon. As in the secondary section for some reason, the backup section. So this weapon's a little bit difficult compared to the other melee weapons on this list, just because this weapon's the weakest one out of all the sandbox weapons in this game. So it may be a bit more difficult to actually use, but it's not as bad as something like the fireworks launcher, which you actually connect all of your shots. This weapon doesn't have any ammo, so you can actually get some pretty decent gameplay with this weapon. And yeah, it's kind of difficult to see some kills with this if you're not really good with something like the Storm Hammer or the Fire Orb, which are pretty much the same things as the Mr. DJ right here. And you can get some decent gameplay if you're good with this weapon. That's pretty much all these weapons if you're actually good with them. With most of these weapons, you have to be really good with them to actually get good gameplay with them. But since they're sandbox weapons, they're not really used for battle, but you can use them for battle. I guess Ruby Armor right there is a 2-shot kill. This weapon is pretty much a 2 to 3-shot kill to adamant armor. It's a decent weapon. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the number 5, the Mr. DJ. Let's get on to the number 4. The number 4 on this list is the hockey stick. Now, the hockey stick is a melee weapon that is a 3-shot headshot to an adamant armor player. Pretty decent melee weapon. It's the middle weapon out of all of the sandbox weapons in Pixel Gun 3D. And yeah, it's actually a pretty decent melee weapon if you use it pretty correctly. As you can see here, it's sometimes a bit difficult to actually hit players with this weapon, just because this weapon is a lot different than some other melee weapons, because you actually swing it in a different type of motion than most of the others. With other melee weapons, you just swing it downwards, but this one, you probably just swing it to the side more than downwards. Something like the fire demon, you actually swing it downwards, but with this weapon, you just don't really slice, you just smack the person with this weapon. It's kind of funny too. But yeah, with this weapon, It's not really that good for Coliseum or something like that. Just because most of these OP weapons are not gonna, you know what I mean. Basically, you can't compete with this weapon with maybe something like the Bastion, because they're area damage weapons and they're a lot easier to use than the melee weapons in this game for sure. So yeah. Hockey Stick, if you are going against other melee weapons, maybe if you're a lower level player that does have not a lot to Stormhammer yet, if you use this weapon in Knife Party, this weapon's actually pretty good. If you have it max upgraded and you're not level 27 yet when you go against the Hammer Spammers in Knife Party. So yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning for this weapon. Now let's get into the number 3 weapon on this list. Now the number 3 on this list is the Bouquet. Now the second melee weapon on this list is probably a slight step up from the Hockey Stick, being a bit more powerful weapon with slightly slower fire rates. Now this weapon's a 2-shot headshot to an add-on armor player with the Bouquet. Surprisingly, they're flowers, which are actually really good for something that's not really realistic in Pixel Gun 3D. You can actually kill people with flowers in this game, which makes no sense. Like I said, this weapon's a 2-shot headshot to take someone out with add-on armor, which is pretty powerful. And yeah, you just gotta be really good with this weapon. Very good with this weapon. And yeah, you have to be really skilled with this weapon in order to get some really good kills with it. The hitbox is a bit confusing with this weapon when you actually hit the player, when it actually attacks the player, when you actually swing it, because you're not swinging the flowers at someone. It's not very clear when you're actually hitting them with the flowers itself. So you have to know that pretty much. Now this weapon's probably a bit more difficult for normal Pixel Gun players to use, just because it's really hard to determine when you hit the person with the flowers. But yeah, if you do know, it's pretty good. And that's the number 3 on this list. Let's get onto the number 2. Now, the number 2 on this list, the second best sandbox weapon in Pixel Gun 3D is the Cupid Bow. Now, the Cupid Bow is probably one of the easier weapons to use out of this whole list, just because this weapon is an area damage bow, which is a sniper. And probably something like the tactical bow, which doesn't have area damage, but, you know, it shoots a lot faster. It doesn't have area damage. It's basically this with area damage. Now, the Cupid Bow is probably like a 3 to 4 shot kill to an add-on armor player. It's definitely a pretty easy weapon to use since it has area damage with instant travel time. Something like the Dark Mage one, for example. Basically, this weapon. Now, this weapon, you know, this weapon you have to be kind of used to the small area damage it kind of has. It has probably a bit more little area damage than most of the other something like this. You know, Solar Power Cannon has a lot more area damage than the Cupid Bow. But yeah, use the slight area damage to your advantage, because almost all of the other bows do not have area damage besides this one. So make sure to use it wisely. And yeah, this weapon's a lot of fun to use. Now, I'm not really that lucky in this match just because I don't really know why. But yeah, we'll try to get one more. We'll get this guy, I guess. And yeah, always be really accurate with this weapon, and you'll be really good. You'll almost probably win matches with this weapon. And yes, we'll get into the number 1 on this list, and it's the only one left, so let's get to it. The number 1 sandbox weapon in Pixel Gun 3D is the Snowball. Now, the Snowball has recently gotten the buff in Pixel Gun 3D. I made 2 videos on the Snowball. It's a really good weapon now. Now, this weapon is a 2-shot kill to an add-on armor player now, which is absolutely amazing for something like this. You know, a Snowball for killing players is not really that realistic for a FPS shooter. Now, the Snowball, like I said, is a 2-shot kill. Also has some area damage with it, so you can actually play with that a little bit. And yeah, it's actually a really good weapon. One of the better weapons in the special section for sure. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Pixel Gun 3D videos. I've made a ton on this channel. I have made some other top 5s on this game. I'm sorry for not getting very good gameplay with the Snowball. I'm not very lucky in this match. Not one of the luckier matches I was in. You know, the Coliseum match was probably a bit better of a match. But yeah, Snowball is a 2-shot, so that's pretty much all. So I've made some other top 5s on this channel about all different types of weapons and things in Pixel Gun 3D. Like, I made top 5 worst gadgets, top 6 best weapons, and some other things like that. I also do other types of videos on Pixel Gun 3D. And yeah, I highly recommend checking them out. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe for more Pixel Gun 3D content. Be sure to make some more on the way. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.